thank you very much for coming today. Welcome to our UWS webinar. Today we're going to be talking about concurrent programs at UWS that you can do simultaneously with the Doctor of Chiropractic program. So we're super excited you're here. Just to kind of show you an agenda of today's events. I'm going to give you a quick little overview about UWS over the past 100 years or so. And then we're going to talk about the different concurrent programs options that we have. So our bachelor's degree in human biology, our master's degree in human nutrition and functional medicine, our master's degree in sports medicine, and then our doctorate of naturopathic medicine program. We're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about a couple application deadlines, and then we do have a student Q&A panel toward the end, which is really exciting. We have 3 students joining us today who are all sports medicine chiropractic students. So we're really excited about that. And then we will let you guys go. We're trying to get today's webinar between 45 minutes and an hour max. So try to keep it short and sweet. And it is being recorded for anybody who can't make it today. You can always watch it later. So just a quick overview about the University of Western States. UWS was founded in 1904. We are the second oldest chiropractic college in the world. So pretty exciting. If you fast forward all the way to 1981, there are other things that have happened since 1981, but the next big thing we're going to talk about is our programmatic accreditation by the Council on Chiropractic Education. That was a pretty big deal. In 1986, UWS became regionally accredited by the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities. If you fast forward to 2010, we've evolved into a leading institution in the field of health and wellness, which is really exciting. In 2010, we also added an online master's degree in exercise and sports sciences. And then 2 years later, our master's degree in human nutrition and functional medicine. In 2015, the exercise and sports science degree was changed to a master's degree in sports medicine, which is what we call it today. In 2020, at the very beginning of 2020, UWS moved into a brand new, beautiful, state-of-the-art campus and clinic. It's pretty fantastic. In excellent shape. It's brand new. So if you haven't been to campus yet, I highly recommend checking it out. And then next year in 23 in October, we will be starting a brand new Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine degree, which is really exciting. And we are going to talk a little bit today about our ND program. So first of all, the first quick program that I want to cover is our bachelor's degree in human biology. So UWS is a graduate institution. We only offer master's and doctoral degrees. However, for any student who comes into the Doctor of Chiropractic degree and doesn't already have a bachelor's degree in a human biology or biology type field, you have the option to finish a bachelor's degree with us. So as you all know, if you are already admitted to the chiropractic school, or if you're looking at coming to the chiropractic program soon, you will know that we don't require a bachelor's degree to enter our chiropractor program. However, we do offer that bachelor's degree in human biology after your 5th quarter in the program. So it's available to all enrolled Doctor of Chiropractic students. You're eligible to apply in your 5th quarter, and your degree will be awarded or conferred in your 6th quarter. All that it takes is a $50 application fee. So it's probably I joke and say it's the easiest degree you'll ever get, because that's not necessarily true, but it's an easy process. All you'll do is you'll apply with a $50 application fee in your 5th quarter, and that's it. And you'll be awarded that degree. So essentially how it works is the BS in human biology degree combines all of the undergraduate coursework that you completed prior to starting at UWS. So those 90 credits or 135 quarter credits, 3 years of college, and it combines courses in that first year of the DC program or the NMD program. You must have at least a 2.0 GPA or higher at the completion of the Bachelor of Science degree to receive the degree. So I just want to make sure that I throw that out there, because if you have not received a degree in biology, or excuse me, a bachelor's degree before starting the chiropractic program, or if you don't have a BS degree, maybe you have a BA or a BM or a BBA, business administration type degree. If you would like a degree specifically in the sciences, you can apply for one for $50. So that's kind of exciting. The next program that I want to talk about is our master's degree in human nutrition and functional medicine. This is probably our second most popular degree for our DC students to enroll in concurrently with the DC program. The most popular is sports medicine, and we will absolutely be talking about that in a few minutes. But the functional medicine and nutrition degree is pretty fantastic. The big reason why students decide to choose this program is because it's the only regionally accredited online master's degree in both nutrition and functional medicine out there in the world. It's 100% online. So the courses will not interfere with any of your chiropractic coursework or classroom times. It's a 2-year degree program if you're going full-time. Takes 4 to 5 years if you go part-time, depending on how part-time you go. You have a maximum of 5 years to finish this degree. You'll be learning functional medicine principles woven into every single course, which is really exciting. This degree was started in 2012 and we had a big collaboration with the IFM, the Institute for Functional Medicine, which is probably the founding organization for functional medicine out there in the world. So we're really excited to have kind of that affiliation and that a lot of the same principles and philosophies as the IFM in our HNFM degree. The HNFM degree is recognized as the world's leading program for nutrition and functional medicine in an academic institution, which is really exciting. We're ranked for one of the best online master's degrees in nutrition in the world, and it meets all the coursework requirements for different licensures like CNS and CCN. CNS stands for Certified Nutrition Specialist, and CCN is Certified Clinical Nutritionist. I will talk about those a little bit later, but if you're a chiropractor who also wants to have a CNS or a CCN license, this degree will help you get there, which is really exciting. So essentially, what's functional medicine? It's a comprehensive framework for evaluation and management that helps us understand interactions among environmental, lifestyle, and genetic factors that can either produce chronic disease or promote long-term health. So we're all about permanent healing. So for example, we like to use a roof analogy when we think about functional medicine. If you had a leak in your roof, would you put buckets under the leak just to catch the water and call that good forever? Or would you go to the store, buy new shingles, or hire somebody who knows how to fix a roof and fix that permanently so it's not leaking anymore, right? Functional medicine is a long-term permanent solution to different symptoms and whole person wellness. So we want to make permanent lifestyle changes and nutrition changes and teach you how to treat an entire, like the whole person, the whole body, not just a specific symptom, or put a Band-Aid on a symptom. Sorry, I can't speak today. So that's what functional medicine is all about. It's teaching you how more holistically help treat a patient, which is really exciting. We have 2 directors of the HNFM program, Dr. Chris Browne. He has a fantastic resume. He was in the first graduating class actually for our HNFM program. He taught clinical nutrition classes at NUNM, which is here in Portland. He practiced functional medicine with a focus for chronic disease patient, musculoskeletal diseases and cases, and he lectures in the HNFM program, teaches the capstone course, which is pretty cool. And then Dr. Redwood is our other co-director. He has been a full-time chiropractor for over 25 years and has taught clinical nutrition all over the place. Cleveland Chiropractic College. He's wrote and been published for a few different things. He's an author for Fundamentals of Chiropractic with Dr. Carl Cleveland, and he teaches whole food nutrition course and supervises the mentorship option in our HNFM program, which I'll talk about in just a minute, that mentorship program. As far as requirements for the HNFM program, you must have a bachelor's degree. So if for some reason you came into the chiropractor program and didn't have your degree already, you would need to have your bachelor's degree in human biology with UWS before you can apply to the HNFM program. Your bachelor's degree GPA needs to be at least a 2.75. And then we require 5 very specific science courses: biology, biochemistry, nutrition, physiology, and medical terminology. Between your undergraduate coursework that's required for the DC program and your first year in the DC program, you will meet all of these requirements. Medical terminology, physiology, nutrition, biochem, and biology are all taught within the first 5 quarters of the DC program. So you are eligible to apply for this in quarter 4 if you already have your bachelor's degree, or in quarter 5 if you're getting your bachelor's degree with UWS and start the subsequent quarter. So either start in quarter 5 or quarter 6. Now the HNFM program only has entry terms in fall and spring, so October and April. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Our curriculum has 4 foundational courses: principles of biochemistry, nutritional biochemistry, whole foods nutrition and supplementation, evidence-based nutrition. From there, everything else in the curriculum kind of goes off of those first 4 classes that are so crucial. You'll be taking a deep dive into gastrointestinal imbalances, autoimmune imbalances, energy production, hormones, cardiovascular diseases. There's a big capstone project, and then there's several different elective options you can choose from. I'm going to show you the classes in just a minute, but there's this optional internship option, which is really cool. So we don't require any specific like clinical or internship hours to graduate from the Master of Science program. However, if you are looking to license with CNS or CCN, they do require that you have 1,000 observation hours with somebody who's a clinical nutritionist or somebody in that field. So we have an option in our curriculum that I'll get to in just a minute that talks about a supervised mentorship option. These are the required courses in the master's degree. So there's a total of 52 required classes, and then there's 4 elective classes, well, 2 electives, they're 2 credits each. So a total of 4 credits of electives for a total of 56 credits in the master's degree. You are welcome to take these classes outside of this schedule, but we recommend kind of sticking to this schedule that we have listed here if you want to try to finish within 2 years. Going full-time, you'll finish in 8 quarters, which is 2 years. You're welcome to go part-time. This program is quite flexible with a maximum of 5 years. But again, if you take the classes just like they're listed here, you'll finish in 2 years. So 2 to 3 classes at a time. If you're wanting to take this with your DC degree, you're absolutely welcome to. All of the classes are pre-recorded. We don't have live lectures because most of our students are all over the world in many different time zones, and most students are working. So everything's pre-recorded in the program, and you are welcome to work on this outside of your Doctor of Chiropractic coursework. Some students start this program in their second year and graduate with their DC and their MS in human nutrition simultaneously. And sometimes students take a little bit longer and finish this program after graduating from the DC program, an extra quarter or extra couple of quarters after graduating the DC program, and that's just fine. And then here's a list of those electives that I've promised. So you have to choose 2 out of this incredible list of classes. I want to bring your attention to these 2 right here, Supervised Nutrition Mentorship 1 and 2. These are the classes that you can take where you're actually working in a clinical setting with a nutritionist, observing, learning about one-on-one nutrition counseling, what functional medicine specialists do, like in the field, essentially. It is an option because not every state requires you to have a license or to have a specific number of hours in order to practice as a nutritionist. However, there are many students that want that clinical experience, that want that personal experience with a nutritionist. And so we have that option available. If you're not so interested in the clinical part, that's just fine. We have some incredible classes here like botanical medicine, advanced practice modules from the IFM. If you're taking any classes with IFM, you can transfer those over. You can transfer up to 2 courses from the IFM. We have a plant-based nutrition course, a nutrition practice strategies course that'll help you learn how to run a nutrition practice. There's a lot of really fantastic classes here. So you'll have to choose 2 out of all of those. I know it's a hard choice. If you want to take more than 2, you just have to ask permission and of course pay for those additional classes if you want to take more than 2 electives. The course structure in the HNFM program, there's many different ways that we kind of go about the courses and teaching. We have assigned readings and texts. There are lectures by the instructor or a guest lecturer. If there's anything live, it will be recorded. There's no live attendance required for any of the classes. Almost everything's pre-recorded. There's weekly discussion forums. There's papers and projects and research. We use Canvas as our learning management system, which you'll be familiar with in the DC program. And we do have exams that are proctored by ProctorU, which essentially make sure that you're not able to cheat or anything like that on any of the exams because the HNFM program's online. And then as far as career pathways go, we have so many different types of career pathways with the HNFM program. The majority of our students join like a wellness practice with a chiropractor or a naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, maybe a Chinese medicine doctor, something like that. So a lot of our HNFM graduates are joining a holistic health type practice. Now, as a chiropractor who's also certified in nutrition and functional medicine, you're going to have the ability to not only treat as a chiropractor, but also do an in-depth one-on-one nutrition counseling. You're able to formally call yourself a functional medicine practitioner with our degree. And use those incredible tools in your toolkit to be able to treat patients in a whole new way. And then, of course, like I've mentioned before, we do have different board certifications. If you're interested in licensing with CNS or CCN, we're also American Clinical Board of Nutrition certification. If you're looking for any of those things to add to your resume as a chiropractor, this is a fantastic degree to do all of that. As far as how does UWS help with job placement or anything like that, our switchboard, which many of our students will be familiar with switchboard once you start, is a great place to start seeing if, what kind of jobs are out there for nutritionists. Our alumni services department is fantastic. And that supervised mentorship, if you decide to do that, many students get their kind of first job after working with that nutritionist that they've been mentoring with, which is really cool. To apply to the program, you'll need to submit an application online, just like you did with the DC program. There's 2 essay questions similar to the DC program. Your kind of your personal statement, why HNFM, why are you interested in this? Why UWS? Then extracurricular or volunteer experiences that you've had, what you've learned from them. We require 2 letters of recommendation, your resume, application fee, and then just like in the DC program, there will be an interview via the Zoom or phone and a tuition deposit to hold your spot. The good news is if you've already applied to the chiropractic program and then a year or so later into the program, you're wanting to also start the MS in HNFM program, we can transfer a lot of your documents over to make your application much faster and a little less tedious. So you won't need to send transcripts again if you've already sent them for the DC program. You won't need to send your resume again. You will probably need to tweak your personal statement just a little bit because it would probably talk about chiropractic, but you can use pretty much the same essay for extracurriculars. And then letters of recommendation, we can't quite transfer over because again, those letters of rec are going to be talking about, if they're from your DC application, why you would make a great chiropractor, but you'll just need to get some new recommendation letters for us that says why you'd make a great nutrition and functional medicine expert. So that's kind of what we're looking for as far as application requirements. So before I stop and pass things off to my colleague, Natasha, she's going to talk to you guys about the sports medicine program. Do we have any questions? There should be a Q&A chat at the bottom of your Zoom screen where you can post any questions you have, and we're happy to answer those. I think I mentioned this, but the HNFM program starts each fall and spring. So if you start your DC program, for example, in the fall of 23, the soonest you'd be able to start the HNFM program would be the following fall, a year later, or so that would be fall of 24 or spring of 25. Does that make sense? So okay, I don't think that there's any questions popping in. If anyone thinks of anything, go ahead and just pop them in that Q&A chat and we'll get to them. I am going to turn things over to my colleague, Natasha. She is going to talk to you all about our Master of Science program in sports medicine. This is definitely our most popular program for students to be dual enrolled in for both chiropractic and a secondary program. So I'm going to turn off my camera and turn things over to Natasha.
Great, thanks so much, Brigham. So as Brigham mentioned, our Master of Science in Sports Medicine is the most popular concurrent program for chiropractic students. About a third of our students decide to do it concurrently. And the director of that program is Dr. Brent Marshall. And Dr. Marshall is a certified athletic trainer. He also holds a doctorate of education from Concordia University and a master's in athletic training from Weber State and a BA in kinesiology from Whitworth. And clinically, he has worked with all levels of athletes, including high school, collegiate, amateur, semi-professional, and professional. So he's an incredible director. So the program overview. So this program, one of the reasons why it's so popular with current chiropractic students is because 28 of your chiropractic credits are dually applied from the chiropractic program to the master's in sports medicine. So that means you're only taking an additional 35 quarter credits of coursework. And those credits are taken basically between terms 6 through 11. So your final term, your 12th quarter in the program, if you decide to do your final chiropractic preceptorship in another location, it won't impact your master's in sports medicine program because you will have already completed it. Let's see, again, can you click through? So the combination of coursework includes online coursework as well as hands-on lab and practical field-based experiences that I'll talk about in just a second. But the program trains healthcare providers to specialize in sports injury management. So that includes both chronic injuries as well as acute injuries on the field, deciding when to return athletes into play or whether to take them off the field and send them to different specialists depending on that specific injury. And again, the program has multiple on-field practicums that can also be done in a sports rehab clinic setting as well. So I'll go over those in just a second. So what will you learn in the program? Graduates of the sports medicine program learn to develop evidence-informed treatment and performance enhancement plans for athletes and active populations. So even if you aren't sure if you're going to be working with athletes, if you have a future clinic where you expect to have active populations in your clinic setting, this will definitely help you figure out how best to treat those populations. It'll also teach you how to perform appropriate care of injuries for those populations. As well as explain emergent, urgent, and fine first aid procedures. So again, working with more of an interprofessional healthcare team that might include coaches, athletic trainers, physical therapists, doctors of osteopathy. You're really going to be working together to decide how best to treat that injury. And again, whether or not it requires removing them from the sport temporarily or just from that particular game. And you'll also learn how to apply ethical and professional practices in sports care, and then analyze the role of research and use in sports medicine practice. And this is really important because there's a lot of research out there. So we want to make sure you know how best to interpret the research, determine if it's the best research available, and then how to apply it to that specific athlete or athletic situation. So again, the program length is 6 terms. So between quarters 6 through 11, chiropractic students can apply in 5th quarter and start the program in 6th quarter. Although you could start it at a later point, it's best to start it in 6th quarter because that's when it best aligns with your chiropractic courses. And I'll go into that in a little more detail in just a minute. But I do want to mention that international chiropractic students should plan to complete the sports medicine program concurrently while they're doing the chiropractic program, because that's while they'll have their student visa status. And the sports medicine curriculum, so these are the courses that are specific to sports med. I didn't include on this list the ones that you're already taking in your chiropractic program that are dually applied. So basically you're adding on about 2 to 3 courses per term. So your 6th quarter in the chiropractic program is the 1st quarter in sports med. And you'll see that includes all sorts of things like jurisprudence and ethics, research methods and evaluation, biostatistics, sports performance, practical lab applications where you're learning taping and splinting, emergency management procedures, all sorts of things. But there's 2 things I want to point out as far as the curriculum goes. One is that wherever it's listed that you're focusing on a certain area of the body, just keep in mind that in your chiropractic program, you'll be focusing on the same area during the same term. So your courses are definitely going to dovetail into each other. The other thing I wanted to point out is there are a couple of points when you can add on an elective, and you can choose from the 4 electives below. These electives were created based on student feedback about what they wanted to get out of the program. So our students were asking for more soft tissue training, evidence-based concussion management and care, diagnostic imaging of sports injuries, and research applications for those people who want to go on to a PhD program eventually. And then the last thing I want to point out is just that there's those practicum opportunities where you're going to be supporting athletes or athletic competitions on the field or in a sports rehab clinic setting. So it's up to you what you decide to participate in, but either is going to be beneficial for your future practice. And then some of the opportunities that our sports medicine students have had the chance to support include all sorts of things from marathons to professional soccer teams, hockey teams, the Canby Rodeo, Northwest Wheelchair Tennis. Annually, we support the National Finals Seaside Beach Volleyball Tournament, which has like 500 volleyball teams playing against each other at the coast. They've supported USA Track and Field, Greater Portland Tennis Championship, as well as local high school and college athletic teams. So why the sports medicine program? A lot of chiropractic students say, you know, I think I'm going to learn everything I need from the chiropractic program. Why would I need to add on the master's in sports medicine? There's a lot of benefits. The first one being that advanced training at the master's level on evidence-informed teaching and practice standards, the enhanced recognition in the field and by peers. So for example, if you're a chiropractor working a sporting event, a lot of times coaches and athletic therapists will trust you more if you have the master's in sports medicine degree, or they'll at least have a better understanding of what you do. You'll collaborate with other students at UWS and across the country from a variety of fields and learn from experts in the field in a variety of settings. And then there'll be those hands-on lab session and practicums. And again, one of the benefits of the program is that the general public will have a better understanding of what you do. So if you do the master's program and you have this on your future chiropractic website, a lot of times you're going to see a lot more of the general public walking in your door just because they have a better understanding of sports medicine. You'll also find that the doors open a little bit more easily if you're planning to work with high school and college athletic teams or pursue more international athletic events. And you'll have the ability to pursue a PhD after graduation and opportunities for teaching at the college level. Chiropractic students who decide to add on this program also can use this as a pathway towards a certified chiropractic sports physician credential, as well as the diplomate of American Chiropractic Board of Sports Physicians. So who can apply? Again, chiropractic students in 5th quarter, 6th quarter can apply for our fall 22 start and start the program in winter 23. And we've extended that deadline for applications to November 20th. And then chiropractic students in their 5th or 6th quarter during the winter term can apply for our spring start, with the final deadline for those applications being February 10th. And the application requirements, again, is just 2 additional essays. These are specific to sports medicine, and then contact info for 2 references. And those references can be UWS references if you have faculty members at the university in your chiropractic program who want to be a reference for you. They could be a previous coach or instructor. But like Bregan mentioned, you don't need to resubmit your official transcripts or your resume if you're already a chiropractic student. We definitely have those on file. And the other requirements for the Master's in Sports Medicine program are that you have confirmation of a bachelor's degree. So if you already came to UWS with a bachelor's degree, you wouldn't need to apply for a new one. But if you didn't come in with a bachelor's degree, you'll definitely want to apply for that bachelor's in human biology in 5th quarter so that you'll be eligible to start this program in 6th quarter. And then you need to maintain a minimum 2.5 cumulative GPA through 5th quarter in the chiropractic program, complete a personal interview with Dr. Brent Marshall, a background check, and there's a $300 tuition deposit to hold your spot. Okay, any questions about the Master's in Sports Medicine program before we go on? If so, feel free to post them in the chat. And while we're waiting for some questions, I do want to mention, because I didn't include in the slide, that our Canadian students who decide to do the Master's in Sports Medicine program are eligible to apply for the RCCSS, the Royal Canadian Chiropractic Sports Sciences Fellowship. And basically our master's program will allow you to meet all the academic requirements for that fellowship. You'll just need to do some supervised clinical hours. So if you want the equivalent of an American diplomate in Canada, that would be through the RCCSS.
Thanks, Natasha. So cool. Any questions? If you have them, just pop them in the Q&A chat for us and we'll make sure to get to them. Okay, so I am going to quickly cover the naturopathic medicine degree at University of Western States before we move on and you get a chance to speak with our student panel. So why choose naturopathic medicine? Traditional naturopathic medicine has a focus on research. Our program at UWS will have a functional medicine emphasis in the curriculum for naturopathic medicine, which is really exciting. That's the big thing that sets us apart from the other 5 naturopathic medical schools in the US is our functional medicine focus in our curriculum. And then UWS has a fantastic longstanding reputation for graduating students who are highly successful in the world of healthcare. Like we mentioned earlier, our chiropractic program has been around since 1904. We have a fantastic reputation and we're really excited to bring this brand new degree in naturopathic medicine to UWS. This is our director, Dr. Marsha Pringuber. She's the director of the ND program. She has a pretty robust resume, but to make it sort of short, she had a 2-year residency in Integrative Cancer Center and worked practicing naturopathic oncology for over 14 years. She was a former president of the CNME, which is the Council for Naturopathic Medical Education. The CNME is the accreditor who accredits legitimate programs in naturopathic medicine. She was named in 2008 the Naturopathic Physician of the Year by the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians. So she is a fantastic addition to UWS, and she's been a complete joy to work with. She's working on our curriculum and all of those fantastic things. If you're thinking to yourself, what is naturopathic medicine? Naturopathic medicine is a distinct healthcare profession that combines wisdom of nature with the rigors of modern science. Naturopathic doctors are trained as primary care providers who diagnose, treat, and manage the healthcare of patients with acute and chronic conditions while addressing health, disease, and dysfunction at the level of the body, mind, and spirit. That's directly from the AANMC website, which is a fantastic resource if you are looking to become a chiropractor who is also a naturopathic physician. There's a big difference between a licensed naturopathic physician and a naturopath. The scope of practice is much different. With a naturopath without a license, you can essentially be kind of like a health consultant or a wellness coach. There's no formal licensure. You are not able to charge insurances or anything. The only fee collection you can do is cash. And it's kind of unknown whether you can refer patients to other medical professionals, where a naturopathic physician is trained as a PCP, a primary healthcare physician. They order labs and diagnostic imaging. They diagnose and they treat. Each state has a little bit different scope of practice for doctors of naturopathic medicine, but in several states, they are able to completely diagnose and treat patients. They are formally licensed. And as far as fee collections, they can not only do cash, but they can also charge private insurance and Medicaid, and they can refer patients to other licensed providers within the naturopathic medical field or maybe outside. Maybe you're working with somebody who might also need a physical therapist or a chiropractor, so many different types of physicians. And as a naturopathic physician, you're able to make those professional referrals. The ND program is an in-person program. There's a couple of online classes, but it is in person for the whole 3.5 years. There are clinical rotations as well, both on campus and throughout Portland or the Portland area. And then students are required to be in Portland for the entirety of the NMD program. The Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine program is about 300 credits, and it takes 14 quarters to 3.5 years. We have been having many, many questions from chiropractic students and chiropractic graduates of UWS asking, how long will it take me as a chiropractor to finish? I don't have a 100% solid answer for you yet, but it will likely take 8 to 9 quarters, so roughly 2 years for current chiropractors to complete the naturopathic medical program after your DC program. The big reason I can't give you a 100% 8 to 9 quarter answer yet is because it's going to be dependent on the course schedule. The naturopathic program is starting. We're welcoming our first class next fall, in the fall of 23. So once we have that course schedule solidified in the next coming months, we'll be able to give chiropractors a much more solid, yes, this is how long it'll take you to complete, but it's going to be roughly 2 years, 8 to 9 quarters. It's 4 quarters year round, just like the DC program, 11-week quarters, 2 weeks off in between. It's about a 35 to 40 hour time commitment a week on campus. So very similar to the DC program, where you will be on campus for lectures, for labs, or maybe go to the anatomical science building for labs. You'll be on campus for clinics. You'll be out in the public for clinic rotations, working with standardized patients on campus, working with your classmates first before diving into clinic with the public. So it's a pretty exciting thing. Our ND curriculum has a few foundational courses similar to the DC program. You'll take you human morphology sequence, the cellular and molecular architecture sequence, function and dysfunction, clinical, physical lab and diagnosis, immunology, metabolism. I can't speak today. So you'll be metabolism. You'll be taking all of those classes similar to the DC program, which is why we're going to be able to take kind of double count some of those classes and give you an advanced standing as a chiropractor. There are several therapeutic courses in botanical medicine, homeopathy, pharmacy, diet and nutrition. Then there's several system and population courses, endocrinology, gastroenterology, neurology, cardiovascular health, oncology, pediatrics, geriatrics. Online, we have a full curriculum that you can check out for more details about the ND curriculum. As far as ND requirements, you're required to have a bachelor's degree with a 3.0 GPA or 3 years of college coursework. We prefer to see a bachelor's degree, but we can accept the 3 years of college, the 90 or 135 credits. If you're a chiropractic graduate, you're going to meet these requirements, no problem. And similar to the DC program, in our ND program, students who don't have a bachelor's degree can receive that BS in human biology from UWS. We're looking for a specific number of science credits, either 24 semester or 36 quarter credits in the sciences. Again, that won't be a problem if you've already met the DC application requirements and have become a chiropractor. We're looking for 4 very specific courses. Or types of courses. So we're looking for 2 semester or 3 quarter courses in biology with a lab, 2 semester or 3 quarter courses in chemistry with a lab, at least 1 course in psychology, and at least 1 course in physics. And all the prerequisite courses must be completed in the last 7 years with a C grade or better. If for some reason you decide you want to become a naturopathic physician years after finishing the DC program, you'll need to ask permission from Dr. Pringuber if your courses are older than 7 years. It will totally depend on if you're able, if you're using biology, chemistry, physics, if you're using that in your career, if you're not, how old are those courses? Would we be able to make some wiggle room or not? For several students, we will accept a CLEP exam. The CLEP exams are online college tests, like you can test out of a whole year's worth of college level biology or college level chemistry with a CLEP exam. And those are like $90, I think, so much cheaper than enrolling in retaking biology or chemistry if your classes are old. But that's something we can always talk about in the future if you are looking to come into the ND program after your DC program. Prerequisite completion options everywhere. Geneva College, Portage Learning. There's several online options with University of California. UWS, we offer an online biochemistry course that you can take advantage of. However, again, if you're graduating from the DC program, you should have all of those prerequisites completed before starting. We can accept all of these types of classes to consider for biology, for chemistry, organic chem, biochem, psychology courses. Physics, we can also accept biophysics, biomechanics, kinesiology, which you should have plenty of in the DC program. Everything in the ND program is on campus in the same building with the exception of the cadaver lab. It's located in our Anatomical Sciences building. This is the same building you'll be using in the DC program for the anatomy lab. It's located on the Linfield University Portland campus. It's about 3.5 miles from UWS, about a 10-minute drive. So really not too bad. And here's just a couple quick photos for you of the Anatomical Science building. There are different cadaver bodies that are built to support gross anatomy instruction. And then the cadaver labs, you essentially will have different pro sections to look at, station models. There's round robin techniques, group review, Q&As that Dr. Borman does in the anatomical sciences classes. And then on campus, since we do not have the cadaver lab in the same building with the rest of your classes, we have a SynDaver lab. Cadavers are not the same as cadaver bodies. They are not real human bodies, but they are high quality synthetic anatomy models that can allow you to practice some of your anatomy and physiology courses on campus if you don't have the time to travel 10 minutes to the cadaver lab. So just want to make sure that that is on your radar because we use these all the time in both the ND program and the DC program. Then course structure in the ND program is similar again to the chiropractor program in the fact that there are assigned readings, lectures by faculty, sometimes guest lecturers, weekly discussions, learning assessments. There's tons of papers and projects. We use Canvas again and tons of hands-on clinical work. This is definitely a hands-on program. I assume everybody in here is a hands-on person if you're going into the chiropractic profession. If you're also looking to expand your future office and offerings, take a look at naturopathic medicine. Similar to the other programs, we need transcripts, we need essays, but there is actually a third essay question in the ND program. So in addition to the personal statement and extracurriculars, you're also required to talk to us about your experience working with a naturopathic physician. You need to date any experiences you've had shadowing or conversations you've had, names of providers, all that good stuff. For the letters of recommendation, one must come from a healthcare provider. That's another kind of different piece to the ND application. Everything else is about the same. Resume, application fee, interview on Zoom. If you live local to campus, we are asking that students come in person to interview for the ND program if they're near Portland. And then of course that $300 deposit once everything is in. So before we move on, does anybody have any questions about the naturopathic medical program? You've been so quiet so far. Okay, well, if you think something, just pop it in there in that Q&A chat. We definitely want to hear from you. application deadlines for winter 23. Our final deadline is coming up in about a week and a half, so November 20th. So if you are looking to get started as soon as possible with the chiropractic program, sports medicine, winter 23, submit your application by the 20th. We'd love to see you. The classes start on January 9th. Otherwise, sports medicine, ND, HNFM, everybody else starts next fall. Applications for next fall are open now, and classes start on October 9th. So just to put that on your radar. Really quickly, before we dive into our Q&A session with our student panel, I just wanted to quickly cover a couple of financial aid topics. You can start applying for FAFSA on October 1st of the year previous. So the 23-24 school year is open. It opened on October 1st. If you haven't already applied for FAFSA, you do have a financial aid portal in your My UWS account where you can take a look at everything. US students, you can apply for financial aid with our code right here. And for Canadian students, there's this code here. However, I believe this code is specific only to the chiropractic program. I don't believe provincial aid applies to online programs, so just something to consider. And then here are the tuition breakdowns for each of those programs: the Doctor of Chiropractic program, the ND program, sports medicine, and the HNFM program. Luckily, in sports medicine, it's typically 63 credits, like Natasha had mentioned, but 28 of those credits are duly applied with the chiropractic program. So there's only 35 credits left. So that saves you a ton of extra funds, which is another reason why that sports medicine program is so popular for our DC students. So if there's no questions, then I'm going to move forward and just give you all of our contact information really quickly. Natasha and I, you have met today. If you have questions for us, please reach out. Feel free to take a picture of this slide. This has our contact info on it. And then there's Stephen as well. The three of us are kind of your chiropractic team. And Stephen specializes with all of our students in sports medicine. I specialize in the nutrition program and the ND program, NMD program, and Natasha works with all of our Canadian international students and is also a great well of knowledge for sports medicine. Natasha, did you have something to say?
Oh yeah, I did want to mention, so for anyone who wants to post in the Q&A, just know you can also post anonymously. You don't have to include your name if you're feeling shy.
Perfect, thanks, Natasha. So we are going to go ahead and hop into that Q&A panel for the next 10 minutes or so, and then we will go ahead and close our panel today, or our webinar today. So we have 3 students joining us today. We have Lauren Crow. She's in her 9th quarter for Calgary, Alberta, Canada. She plans to work with patients of all ages with a focus in children and teens. We have Sydney Foster joining us. She's in quarter 8. She's from Parker, Colorado. Although I believe you told me that you've lived in New England for most of your childhood as well. Is that correct, Sydney?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And Sydney plans to work with high school age students and athletes to build a solid foundation in body biomechanics, which is really cool. And then Olivia is in her 8th quarter and she's from Rochester, Minnesota. Minnesota? Oh my gosh, Michigan? Now I'm forgetting.
Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota. Okay. Oh my gosh. Plans to work with athletes, both pre and postpartum patients and children. So all 3 of these ladies are chiropractic students who are also in the sports medicine program. So they are a great wealth of knowledge. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the PowerPoint so that you can kind of see everybody's faces a little bit better as they are speaking. So to get things started, I'm going to go ahead and ask our students to kind of answer a couple questions, and then please post in that Q&A if you have questions. So my first question for you is, what made you choose UWS, and what's, I guess, your favorite thing about being duly enrolled in the sports medicine and chiropractic programs? Whoever wants to jump in.
Yeah, sure, I'll go first. So one of the reasons I chose UWS is because it has some of the highest licensing exam pass rates in the world, and some good quality evidence-based education. And it's also located in Pacific Northwest, where it's very like naturey and more holistic and that kind of vibe. And then doing with the sports medicine, I didn't grow up in sports, so I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could and get more hands-on experience. And when the course kind of match up with the DC program, but it goes more in depth, and I find that really helpful so far.
Okay, I can go next. I also chose UWS because of its like high evidence-based practice like model and high passing rates of board exams. I also had a professor in undergrad who was a chiropractor and who was enrolled in the functional medicine program. So she really recommended the school to me. My favorite thing about being in both the Chiro program and the sports med program is how Lauren said, like the classes kind of build on each other and you're able to like go more in depth about different topics, and you just get like a lot more resources through the sports med program, and I really like that.
I would second everything that Liv and Lauren said. I chose UWS because I worked for a few docs back in Colorado that went to UWS as well. And they're one of like the smartest people I know, and I just really want to be like them. To be honest, it is also because the school is evidence-based, but really it's truly because of the doctors that I worked under. I really love how they practice and everything that they stand for. And as far as the sports med program goes, like the previous slide said, I am looking to work with younger athletes. And I just think that having this dual enrolled master's in sports med program will just help open the door for me just a little bit easier.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies, so much. I guess one of my next questions, and let me back up because we do have somebody in the Q&A who asked, did you say that the functional medicine and the DC program can be taken at the same time? Oh, I'll go ahead and answer this and we'll get back to our panelists. Yes, the functional medicine program and the DC program can be taken at the same time. You'll take 2 to 3 classes in the HNFM program on top of your DC classes, or you can just take one if you're really busy. You're welcome to take the functional medicine program part-time if it's a lot. Some of our students graduate simultaneously with the HNFM degree and DC, and some of them go part-time. So they finish their DC and then finish the HNFM program a quarter or maybe a year after graduating. So they're still slowly chipping away at that online degree after starting their chiropractic practice and graduating. So great question. Okay, so my next question for the panelists is essentially, what made you want to pursue specifically the sports medicine program? Is it mostly because of a population that you're wanting to do? Are you an athlete yourself and have been, interested in working with other athletes? Just tell us a little bit about why sports medicine stuck out to you so much.
Sure, I can start again. It's, honestly, just learning more about sports and within that kind of realm of care. But also going forward in my career, I want to have the tools to help every single patient that comes in my clinic. And having this foundation will really help me with that. But not only having the tools to help everybody, it helps me recognize when something is going to be kind of out of my scope and it's not something I'm super good at. I'll still be able to recognize it and understand where they need to go, who I need to refer them to get the best care.
Yeah, one of the reasons that I came to UWS was specifically so I could do the concurrent sports medicine degree. I came wanting to be a sports med chiro with professional athletes, like working with a team, and that was kind of always the end goal. It's shifted a little bit now. Another reason I'm in the sports med program is because I do want to get my CCSP, and this program like allows you to take that exam without further schooling, as well as the diploma if I want to do that eventually.
And I realized that I basically answered that question in my last response, but I'll just explain a little more. So again, I really want to work with high school athletes because I have like a personal vested interest. I had a lot of major injuries in high school, and I feel like they could have been prevented if I had just known how to move my body correctly. So that is the real big reason why I wanted to do this program, is because I want to help other young athletes prevent those injuries and go play college athletics if that's their dream.
Very cool. No, thank you so much. Let me check the Q&A. Okay. Again, don't be shy. If you have a question, pop it in the Q&A for us. One of the next questions I have for you guys is, I guess, diving a little bit deeper into career aspirations for sports medicine. I know I gave like a quick little one-liner on the PowerPoint presentation, but are you planning to exclusively work with athletes? Do you want to work with all kinds of people? What does that population look like, and why are you so interested in working in, I guess, a specific population?
So for me, I'm starting to think I'd like to work more with teens and children, but also just general population. People that would be middle-aged and weekend warriors, and just trying to make sure, like Sydney said, like trying to make sure they prevent injuries, that kind of thing. But just being able to work with everybody. Right now in the clinic, I have some older people and some students in the program, and that's kind of it. So being in the sport med program and currently in practicum located at a high school, I'm able to see some younger people, and just understanding how to care for all those different populations is really, really beneficial for me.
I am still not 100% sure what I want to do. I am thinking the first couple of years I'm just going to bounce around and get experience basically wherever I can with all athlete populations. I came into the program really exclusively wanting to like be with professional athletes, traveling on teams with them. But during the program, I've gained a lot of interest in women's health and like reproductive health and all those kind of things. So eventually I would like to either open a practice or join a practice that focuses solely on like female athletes and pre and postpartum athletes and their babies and their children as they grow up.
I kind of agree with Liv. I don't think I have room to be picky as soon as I graduate, so I probably will just take all the patients that I can get regardless of their age and demographics. Yes. But yeah, as I progress, I would hope to have a slightly bigger emphasis on younger athletes. That's the ultimate goal.
Very cool. No, thank you so much. I think that's so helpful for me to hear as a staff member, and for anybody on the chat to hear, why you're so excited to do what you do. I think that's so important, especially from somebody actually in the program. So I appreciate you guys. I guess the last question that I have pre-prepared for you guys, if there's no other questions, is kind of related to UWS specifically. So what kinds of patients do you see now in the clinical experience, whether that's at UWS or if it's in your rotations in the sports medicine program? Do you see many athletes? I'm assuming the answer to that question is yes for sports medicine. But on our campus here in the clinic, what kind of patients are you working with? Just kind of shed some light on that for us.
Yeah, so I guess I accidentally answered that question already, but so I'm currently seeing just students our age in the program also, and then outpatients currently, I just have a few older people, but I help around, and there's some really interesting cases around the clinic. So you'll see people from all walks of life also. But yeah, just high school students also with the practicum right now.
Yeah, along with that, in our clinic, we have just started in clinic, so we're not in practicum yet for sports med. So like my patients are just like students who are recreational athletes, but it's really nice that in our sports med classes and our DC classes, we do like a lot of case-based learning. So even if you're not physically with a patient, you still do cases about all different kinds of athletes, like younger people and like CrossFitters and runners, and you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I would agree with Liv because we're in the same quarter. We are only seeing a few patients because we're only in clinic for a few hours this semester. So yeah, not too big of an athletic population just yet. I think that's going to be in one of the later quarters for us.
Yeah, more like in practicum, like Lauren said, then you're like actually with like a team, whereas we are not yet. We're excited.
Right. Very cool. Thank you. And we do have a question for the three of you in the chat. It says, is it difficult to be a woman in a pretty male-dominated field? I've never met a female chiropractor, so hearing you guys talk about how much you love this is super encouraging.
I don't think it's hard at all.
I don't think so either.
I think our school especially is so, like, everyone is so helpful. And honestly, I wouldn't say our school is male dominated in, like, I'd say it's pretty much 50-50. And yeah, I don't think it's too hard. You might get like some questions from people that aren't in the medical field that like, why are you doing this? But you're going to get those questions whether you're any gender identity, I guess.
Agreed. I think throughout the ages also, chiropractic has generally been more welcoming to female doctors than say medicine. But you obviously there's pockets of like very male dominated, or certain parts of the industry are a little bit more male dominated. But I think, at least in my experience, they have a lot of respect for women regardless. So it's not as much of a struggle as say being like in a corporate boardroom might be. So.
And I would just add that like the entire staff and the entire faculty at UWS, if you're looking for a place that's relatively diverse, this is a great place to be. We have people of all different ethnic and racial backgrounds, of all different gender identities and orientations. It's really cool to go to the clinic. Something that Dr. Moreau really loves in his clinic is you can find anyone who looks like you here. I think that's a big thing that he's mentioned to me many times when I've gone in for adjustments and things like that, is that there really is people from all over, not all over the world and all over different types of people. And it's just a lovely thing to be with so many people. So there's definitely a lot of female chiropractors, and a handful of non-binary students and chiropractors. And I think that the field is definitely growing and expanding and becoming much more, I think, accepting of people, which is only a good thing. Yeah, Natasha.
I had a question for our panelists as well. Actually, a kind of a two-part question. One, I'm wondering what's been your favorite class so far in the sports medicine program? And then two, what's been the most interesting case study or injury that you've addressed in that program?
Okay. Well, there's so many classes that teach so many important things, but I'd say my favorite currently is the practicum, which I'm in right now. And also the case that I find is interesting was in practicum a few weeks ago, I got to see a student that had been hit in the back of the head with a soccer ball. So we did a SCAT-5 concussion assessment on them, and that was very interesting for me to see and be able to do that, because you learn it earlier in the program, but then actually being able to see how this is important and it can make changes in a person's life is actually pretty cool. So
I think my two favorite, I don't know if I can pick a favorite, but I really liked our very first class, which was like emergency management. We don't get a ton of like emergency management in DC other than like CPR and like when to like call 911, but we did like a bunch of like emergency like on-field management, like how to spine board and how to do cervical collars and like when people have really like gnarly injuries. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then we recently did a case in advanced sports medicine that our professor brought in about, it was like a 13-year-old swimmer with like shoulder injuries, and we just like kind of went through the case together, and he talked about how he treated her. And yeah, it was really interesting to like get his perspective and then like all bounce ideas off of each other.
Going along with that, I think my favorite class is the one that we're in currently, Advanced Sports Med 2. Mostly because of the professor that we have.
He's amazing.
Dale Buckberger. He is a practicing PT out in Auburn, New York. And the online Zooms that we do with him a few times a quarter, it's so enlightening. And he really makes the class so much better. He is such a knowledgeable man. And I want to fly out there and shadow him because he's so smart. And yeah, I did like the case that we did about that 13-year-old swimmer, because you just realize that there's so many more layers to diagnosing someone and figuring out what's wrong with them, figuring out why they're predisposed to this certain condition that they developed. He just really makes you think more and think outside the box. So that's why I like it.
Oh, thank you guys so much. That was really helpful to hear, especially for anyone who's actually thinking about doing that program.
I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. We're coming up right on that 1 hour mark, so I don't want to keep anybody over that time. If there's any last minute questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat, but I hope that for those of you that attended, learned some great new information today. We really appreciate you being here. And thank you to our student panel for answering some fantastic questions. If you have any additional questions, you are welcome to reach out to Natasha or I, or the main admissions line, which is just admissions@uws.edu. If you have any questions, and those will get sent to Natasha or I. Or you can always look up our direct contact info on the UWS website. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a great day.